Hey, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, this space is all about Canadian sovereignty and rising tensions between Canada, the US, and anything related. Now, today I wanted to react to a recent US news report that covers how Canadian travel to the US is dropping. And while the report gets some things right, it totally misses the main reason we're not crossing the border anymore. It's not about the tariffs, it's about the annexation threats to our sovereignty. Now let's watch it together. I'll pause when there's something we need to call out.
Our neighbors to the north are choosing to stay home or go elsewhere. A new report from U.S. Customs and Border Protection shows travel from Canada to the U.S. is among the worst on record since the COVID-19 pandemic. Natalie Kutchko explains how the latest data is connected to the ongoing federal trade war.
Okay, so Detroit tourism is struggling without Canadians. It's not really a big surprise. I mean, we do make up a huge chunk of their visitors. Just like how British Columbia is a big chunk of visitors for Blaine and Bellingham. But here's the part they don't talk about. A lot of us are done crossing into a country where we're being disrespected. And keep in mind, she's blaming the trade war. No mention yet of annexation or 51st state.
And what it could mean for the upcoming tourism season. Natalie.
The number of travelers going from Canada to the U.S. dropped by nearly 900,000 people in March compared to the same time last year. That's according to recent U.S. CBP data, among the worst year-to-year drops recorded.
So all of the tourism, shopping, sightseeing absence that we will see as a result of this Canadian protest vote is something that's going to disproportionately affect border states such as New York.
Dr. Amit Badabayal teaches economics at RIT. Tourism impacts as a result of the ongoing trade war at the federal level are part of his current curriculum.
Trade war and maybe the 51st rhetoric coming from Trump? Trump's rhetoric on the 51st state has been mentioned countless times and is still being mentioned, and US media is still continuing to ignore it. This isn't solely about tariffs and inflation. It's about defending our sovereignty. But the report doesn't even touch that topic. Canadians aren't traveling because we are angry. We're not just annoyed by the tariffs.
We're going to be losing out in a variety of ways. So Canadian shoppers who often frequent our so-called outlet malls, Waterloo comes to mind immediately. You're going to see a basic freeze in terms of Canadian shoppers shopping at our outlet malls and in our retail establishments. This is clearly a protest movement on the part of many Canadians, and it's having a huge negative impact in the United States because all of those tourism dollars, which would have been spent in different touristic spots in the U.S., are now not going to be spent, but those dollars are going to other locales and other nations.
According to the CBP, March is typically one of the busiest months for travel in the U.S. With numbers trending downward, he says it's cause for concern.
So the numbers are trending downwards. Huge negative impact. U.S. businesses losing billions. Yeah, sorry about that. But that's the cost of threatening your allies and treating Canadians like we're disposable. We've always had the U.S.'s back. 9/11, wildfires, saving their citizens in Iran, and now we're treated like a bargaining chip. Let's continue.
And even if we look at the temporary situation, which is a 90-day pause of the reciprocal tariffs announced by President Trump, we don't know what's going to happen after 90 days. So if it's back to 100+% tariffs, that's going to significantly impact the ability of Americans to make purchases of goods that are imported from overseas, no matter how much they might like them.
So a lot to recap there. And on the upside, the U.S. Travel Association reports Canadian visitors spent roughly $20.5 billion in the U.S. alone last year. And economists like the one I heard from today at RIT, they are hoping that trend only continues.
You see what I mean? They tiptoe around the real issue, annexation and 51st threats. They didn't even mention it once in the whole report. So what do? We double down. No cross-border shopping, no US vacations, no Target shopping, outlet shopping, no US travel. Canadians are standing up for ourselves and money isn't crossing the border anymore. We support our Canadian businesses, we keep our dollar at home. Or we spend our dollars in countries that are allies. Countries in Europe, Asia, Southeast Asia, Central and South America. I'll miss my Trader Joe runs on the weekends, trips to Hawaii, California, Las Vegas. But personally, I'm not going to spend my money in a country that doesn't treat us with respect. These are my own personal opinions as a Canadian, born and raised on the west coast of BC. But let me know in the comments if you agree with my stance, And is your boycott temporary for the next 4 years, or is it permanent? Also, if your boycott is permanent, let us know why. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.